I
just,
understand how teamwork works, though.
yeah, just basically, if you can't see your buddy, then something is seriously wrong. So at one point, I saw you pushed up, I don't know, maybe 50 meters or something, and that was after I told you guys to hold position at a particular place. So just watch out for that in the future. And again, like in the beginning, I think the contact reports were pretty horrible by me as well. I think eventually we started spotting targets a little bit better. That's why I like to do this training in a wooded area because it's harder to spot the targets. So it turns you on, and then by the time we get on horse chip map next week, we'll be experts at calling out targets and spotting targets. So yeah, I was satisfied with where it got at the end. Uh, when we were engaging targets, we took them out pretty fast. I think, and I can have Wick come talk about this later, but I think we might have got the jump on him at the I don't know what that building is, the barn house type building. When all those guys were standing out front, it looked like you might have been gearing up to do something. But we had already flanked this position by that time and took him down, so that was pretty fun to do. Yeah. So anybody else has something to say?
Um, yeah, I think at times when we were in that wooded area at first, we started receiving that contact. We were
Stand
all
up.
uh, we were all held up at that rock. It seemed like we were kind of indecisive as to what the fuck we were gonna do. We were all bundled up within like a 10-meter spread, and that was just a bad fucking place to be. I know we couldn't see contact, but we needed to. We literally sat there for about like 5, almost like 8 minutes before we did anything. Um,
It
uh,
wasn't that long, but yeah, you're right. We were there too long. Um, that probably boiled down to me directly. I just couldn't figure out where to move because that was a bit of a weird position for us. But well, for me at least when I was looking around. But yeah, that was just poor leadership by me on that behalf.
well, no, I'm not saying it's poor leadership. I'm just saying we need to maybe try and at least do something next time to get us out of the way. It went from us taking indirect fire to direct fire.
Yeah,
They were putting point on, so at that point in time, we need to do something as far as pop, smoke, and move. Just to move to a new position, so we're not taking that point fire. The indirect fire is somewhat better, quote unquote better, but the minute we start taking point fire and we don't know exactly what to do, we just have to either pop smoke and pull back to a safer position, or pop smoke and push forward and try and push through and bound up and assault through the objective.
Roger that. You're totally right. I don't know what the fuck happened to me.
It's all right. I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying it was a fault.
Nah,
It
nah.
was, you know,
I'm saying you're right. You're right.
um,
Uh,
Sanders.
anything else?
Yeah, like just another thing that I know you're kind of like new to the whole teamwork kind of thing and realism, and I'm just going to reiterate what White said, and with the whole trying to stick with where you're at and who you're with. I'm pretty sure you could tell by that example of when that dude came right up your ass and I popped him in the fucking face for you because he was 5 feet away from you. That's the whole thing about getting too far away, because shit like that can happen. If I hadn't came around that tree at the time I did, you would have been dead.
Yeah, that guy
And
was
then, and then,
reloading
and then
also.
there
So
would have
you
been
should have been dead a little
there
bit
would have been
before that.
there would have been
I was
almost no
lucky.
way that I could have got to you, because I would have had to deal with him and suppression from the town. So always remember, with your buddies, you want to stay at least at minimum 5 meters apart, just so you can have that verbal communication. At maximum 10 to 15.
Sounds good.
So you always want to try and find a place where you can find cover. I can understand if maybe you get out to like 20 meters, but it should never be any more than that.
Well, yeah,
Just-
of course. The only time that I actually did get too far from you was, I think, about 2 or 3 times.
It was a couple
yeah.
times, but
That was yeah.
that's
it was
just something that
usually-
you're gonna need to work on. With your guys as well
Yeah.
in Bravo, but it's not gonna turn my game volume down. I can't hear shit. that's one of the toughest things to having to get to.
Fuck, I deleted myself.
And that's just my issue.
All right.
Cleveland has a couple of comments.
Yeah, go ahead, Cleveland.
Justin.
I'll try to keep them brief. Don't want to be too long-winded. Early in the
Don't do
early
that.
during the deployment, there was somebody that mentioned to me about my direction of movement, and I told them that we would just wait until after everything was over with to talk about it. The instruction given was to move east, and I was asked if I had shack tack and if I understood what east was. But the follow-up instruction was to stay in the tree line, which is why I was moving a little bit more to the southeast, keeping 50 meters inside the tree line, especially having taken fire and taking sporadic fire at the time, because that was the ultimate goal. So, just as a clarification, if I had continued moving east, I would have walked right into a field. So, with that being said, with respect to what the blue team member said, I'm sorry, I don't have your name up here. I think it's Private Hill. As a general rule, and this is as much of a question as it is a statement, in terms of battle buddying, my general rule of thumb is to keep a 10-meter spread in a circle on the HUD, unless I have a really good reason otherwise, or unless I'm instructed otherwise to do so. So when I'm moving with white, I'm trying to keep approximately 10 meters from him. It gives the enemy 2 targets to shoot at instead of 1, and sometimes in bounding across the field, you can keep a 20-meter spread. So as a general rule, it's something to keep in mind unless otherwise instructed, or unless 15th has a different guidelines for movement.
That sounds pretty good to me. Just on that point of what you brought up earlier about the following the tree line, he's totally right. I gave that order to follow the tree line around, but I know what Hill's talking about. Before I gave that order, you were a little bit off course. Well, you were a lot off course, and I was trying to get you to go back on course, and I think that's why Hill was asking you, did you have shack tech? Because it seemed like
It wasn't actually Hill.
Oh.
I wasn't trying to name.
Oh,
I was trying
okay,
not
it
to
was
name names.
Sanders.
It was Sanders, and I
was-
completely agree that I was off course. But it was,
I was the
Yeah.
one that was trying to correct his course. I wasn't the one that said he had sack check.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
no,
yeah.
I kind of understood what you were doing at that time, Cleveland. I know he had said maintain the tree line, but our objective was due east, and we were heading more north. That's why I was just trying to correct your
that
course,
was a
that's all.
complete f up on my part, and
That's okay.
and I appreciate the help.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, that was a complete f up. This is a different instance, but yes, the one you're talking about, that was totally me getting turned around. So I appreciate the help.
Anybody else? Sanders, do you speak?
I think all the stuff that we've done today was pretty good. Everyone made a few mistakes. That's no problem. We're here to train. We're here to just get better at what we do. In time, I can definitely see us perfecting our movements. I can definitely see us communicating just like Corporal White wants to communicate. Just targeting things in an appropriate manner. I tend to just do things really fast. I like to have fast movement. I like to talk fast, just make sure that everyone gets the point across. Yeah, some of those issues that I do have, I used to play a lot of Battlefield, so, Battlefield, even though that it is sort of team-based, it's not as team-based as you could imagine. People still scurry off and just want to do their own thing, and plus that's definitely not a game that is in comparison to Arma 3. So that's all I have to say.
Yes. Fast is a good thing sometimes, but sometimes you gotta slow down and for the purpose of getting the jump. See, when you play something like Battlefield, there is no sneak up on the guy. They sneak up on the guy when 30 guys are firing at him or something like that, but there is no, we can take this position without, having 10 guys on the other side putting fire down on the position, right? So, for instance, we can use trickery in this game, for instance, right? So, on one end, I can have uh, blue team firing and having the Zeus guy or the enemy believing that we're at one position, when in actuality we're moving up on their flank and killing and capturing them from another position. And when we do that maneuver, like if you were on the assaulting team and you ran in there like that, then most likely you would be dead. So there's times to move fast, and then there's times to move slow. So alright, I want to pass it over to Wickham. Wickham.
All right. And on that note, there's going to be a lot of times where you're sitting there doing nothing, and that's not a bad thing, because in that instance where specifically I'm talking about, and just kind of in general what ties into it, is when Hill, you were on the hill, and Sanders, you pushed up across the road by yourself. I mean, that guy, like, had you been with Hill back and with your buddy positioned, you'd have dropped that guy. I mean, he's pushing out of the tree lines. You should have easily seen him. He's skylining like a PFC, as White would say. He wouldn't have walked up on you. And if you were both where you were, then you would have had somebody watching your back.
Well, Corporal, that's a little bit my fault as well. I did tell him to push across the road.
Yeah. I had my T-fire off, so I was listening to everything. So I heard you tell him to push across the road, but then he decided to push up farther by himself.
Okay.
Which
I
was...
just wanted to clarify that because I didn't want him to, you know.
Yeah. Just stay. That's super important, to stay next to your teammate. That's like, if you take away one thing from this training, that should be it. And from my perspective of Zeusing. I think overall people did a pretty good job of taking down contacts when you guys saw them. Like, there are a few moments where I was able to shoot at you for a while, but most of the time you see me before I see you, or a lot of the times, and you guys, I can tell by radio comms, I was just shooting into the trees trying to suppress or whatever. And yeah, that time where you guys were sitting by that rock, that was just one machine gunner shooting at you, so that goes to show what one machine gunner could do.
Suppressive fire is definitely effective. And to add, Corporal, if you don't mind, watch and wait is certainly something that I think has given me a reputation on the recruiting server, to say the least. But
yeah, patience is a big deal,
man. I would like
man.
to reiterate that in a former life, I learned to spend quite a bit of time in one position, motionless, watching. They're going to move a lot of times. It gives you an opportunity to observe, and gives you not only movement, but it gives you an opportunity to observe
User
something you might
entered
have
your
missed.
channel.
I would also stress that when you are in such a position, it's good to figure out, based on what optic you're using, how to scan effectively. Don't just wave it around and then look. You want to look for relative movement against the background. If you're moving your optic constantly, you're going to miss relative movement because you're trying to find relative movement against relative movement, which is your own optic spinning around. So what I typically do is, for my ARCO, for example, I can effectively scan 8-degree increments, and that's typically what I do. Left to right, 8 degrees, wait, watch, move another 8 degrees, wait, watch, move another 8 degrees, and so on. But I do believe that patience is something that is difficult to come by, especially when you're coming from another game such as PlanetSide or something, and into a game such as Arma.
Yeah, absolutely.
PlanetSide, you don't have time to watch and wait. Where in Arma, it can be absolutely critical.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
I agree completely.
Like, there's no reason to move into the town if contacts are pushing to you.
Exactly.
I don't know. If you guys have any specific questions, I can answer them, but I think you guys covered everything.
Negative conclusion.
White, are you muted?
No, no, I wasn't saying anything. I was just listening,
Okay.
thinking.
Negative.
One thing I will say is you guys did kill a civilian at that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Thought we killed multiple civilians. No.
Well, a couple civilians picked up guns, started shooting at you, so that was kind of acceptable.
Yeah.
Was this a civilian on the hill? I saw this dead civilian on the hill. I wasn't sure if we killed him or whether or not the Op 4 killed him.
You mean at the camp?
I'm sorry, at the bunker, the horseshoe-shaped bunker. I think that's where we took down the civilian.
Yeah, Sanders did not fire on any civilians.
I'm not entirely sure. The one I'm specifically talking about was at the camp, like in the woods, the forest.
Yeah.
At the top of the hill, there was a guy just crouched by the campfire, and somebody.
That was me. My bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah. I was just suppressing, and all of a sudden I saw a red bloop, and I was like, oh, okay. Whatever that was.
I'm not sure if you guys had eyes on that civilian. I know you guys definitely had eyes on those enemy infantry. But if you could see like a civilian sitting there, I don't know if suppressing that area would have been the best. I'm not really sure how you would have dealt with it, but just something to think about.
Very good idea. Suppress the area and see what happens.
But I actually did kill a civilian. Oh, bad on me.
Yeah.
I killed one that turned hostile.
There are definitely a couple that picked up guns and like turned hostile towards you guys, but just what definitely PID. That's it.
All right. Anything else? Anybody?
No, I recorded this. It'll be on YouTube pretty quick. It's already on Twitch.
All right.
What?
Uh-oh.